In the heart of Buckingham Palace, tensions that have long simmered beneath the surface finally erupted into full view. Prince William, typically composed and deliberate, made a move that shocked not only the inner circle of the royal family, but also the public. In a rare show of boldness, he openly challenged Queen Camilla's role in a manner that left no room for ambiguity. It wasn't just a political maneuver, it was personal. His words, reportedly delivered with quiet intensity, landed like a thunderclap in the ornate halls of the palace. Queen Camilla, known for her stoic demeanor in the face of decades of media scrutiny, did not hide her emotional reaction this time. Insiders revealed that she was visibly shaken, retreating behind palace walls in a storm of emotion and disbelief. For those who thought the monarchy was immune to family feuds, this moment served as a stark reminder. Behind the royal titles are real people navigating complex relationships. The significance of William's actions cannot be overstated. In a single move, he revealed that the long-standing peace within the royal family was more fragile than anyone realized. This wasn't just about Camilla. It was a reckoning with the past, a spotlight on the cracks that had always been there, but were artfully concealed behind tradition and ceremony. Historical tensions resurface. To truly understand the magnitude of William's stand, one must look back. Decades ago, he and his brother Harry voiced deep reservations about their father's relationship with Camilla. It was a union that stirred public unease from the beginning. Diana, their mother, had once famously said, "There were three of us in this marriage," a line that etched itself into the collective consciousness of the nation. For William, those words weren't just a soundbite, they were the backdrop of his childhood. Though Charles and Camilla eventually wed and redefined their narrative, the brothers' unease never quite faded. Over the years, they watched the monarchy evolve, sometimes awkwardly, around Camilla's rising stature. Now, William's recent actions seem to echo those early concerns. His move is being read by some royal observers as a final stand against what he once quietly endured. The resurgence of these historical tensions highlights a painful truth. The past is never truly past. It waits like a dormant ember, ready to ignite when the right moment or the wrong trigger arrives. Camilla's ascension and controversy. Queen Camilla's path to the throne was anything but conventional. Once cast in the shadows of public disapproval, her transformation from the Duchess of Cornwall to Queen Consort came with both celebration and criticism. Her relationship with Charles, though long-standing, was built on a foundation that many found difficult to forgive. The affair that defined an era of royal scandal didn't just impact Princess Diana. It reshaped the public's trust in the monarchy. Despite years of tireless effort to reshape her image, Camilla has remained a polarizing figure. She leaned into charity work, stood quietly beside Charles at formal functions, and kept a dignified silence amid waves of scrutiny. But the crown she now wears has not been placed without cost. Her rise reignited old wounds in the public psyche, and for some, no rebranding campaign could fully erase the memory of Diana. Now, as Camilla navigates her role alongside a king shaped by personal and public losses, the old narrative threatens to re-emerge. The renewed focus brought on by William's challenge doesn't just put Camilla back in the spotlight, it revives the unresolved questions that have haunted her journey since its beginning. And the monarchy, once again, finds itself torn between tradition and truth. The coronation snub. The coronation was supposed to be a unifying event, a moment of regal splendor that ushered in a new chapter for the monarchy. Yet, amidst the grandeur and gold-embossed ceremony, a subtle but powerful moment stole the headlines. Princess Kate, revered for her poise and adherence to royal decorum, did not curtsy to Queen Camilla. Observers, both in the media and within palace walls, noted the moment with hushed intrigue. It was a deviation from protocol, a break in the tightly choreographed dance of royal optics. And while no words were exchanged, the gesture, or the lack of one, spoke volumes. Some saw it as a quiet protest, others as a misstep. But in the court of public opinion, it was seen as a statement. Was it a nod to Diana's legacy? A sign of solidarity with William's growing stance? The motivations remain unspoken, but the impact is undeniable. Royal insiders suggest that Camilla was blindsided, interpreting the snub as more than just a breach of etiquette. It was personal, in a family where everything is symbol, gesture, and legacy. A missing curtsy can stir a storm. Public perception and media narratives. As images from the coronation made their way to screens and timelines around the world, the media wasted no time in dissecting the perceived coldness between Kate and Camilla. Headlines speculated about tensions. Body language experts weighed in. Royal commentators drew connections to past dramas, painting a picture of a palace once again at war with itself. Social media platforms lit up with commentary, many siding with Kate, hailing her as a silent guardian of Diana's dignity. Others criticized the royal family for allowing personal tensions to play out in such public ways. Hashtags like #TeamKate and #NotMyQueen trended across Twitter and TikTok, further fueling division. This moment didn't just highlight a family feud, it reignited a cultural debate about the relevance of the monarchy. Is the royal family evolving, or are they trapped in a cycle of unresolved pain and pageantry? The lines between legacy and legitimacy, performance and principle, grow ever thinner. Family dynamics and power struggles. What happened next only deepened the rift. Reports emerged that Prince William had taken steps to quietly remove Camilla's sister from a ceremonial royal position. The action, though not widely publicized, sent a clear message behind palace walls. The balance of influence was shifting. Royal insiders interpreted this as William asserting his authority, not just as a son or a prince, but as the future king. The move hinted at more than disagreement. It suggested a brewing power struggle between two spheres, one rooted in the past and the other in the future. Camilla, once a supportive presence in the shadows, now finds herself navigating a court increasingly loyal to William and Kate's modern vision of royalty. Her influence, carefully built over decades, seems to be under quiet siege, and William, no longer just an heir waiting in the wings, is beginning to draw his own lines in the sand. What started as emotional tension is becoming a very public test of power, and the palace may never be the same. Camilla's response and emotional turmoil. The fallout from Prince William's actions was not just political. It was deeply personal for Queen Camilla. Inside the palace, whispers quickly turned to concern as reports surfaced of her emotional reaction. Known for her stoic resolve, Camilla was said to be overwhelmed, retreating into the privacy of her quarters, where she processed what many described as a royal betrayal. For someone who had spent years trying to earn her place within the monarchy, the realization that she might never be fully accepted seemed to hit with a painful finality. This wasn't just about being sidelined from a ceremony or a title. It was about identity, Camilla's journey had always been fraught with challenges, from scandal to skepticism. But this moment struck a chord that even decades of public scrutiny hadn't reached. For the first time, it appeared that her emotional armor had cracked. Courtiers who had worked with her closely described her as shaken, quiet, and reflective, wrestling with a sense of being once again on the outside. As the press speculated and social media roared, Camilla's silence was deafening. No official comment was released, no statement offered. But behind that silence was a storm of grief, confusion, and perhaps a touch of indignation. For a woman who had survived the monarchy's coldest winters, this latest chill was harder to bear. And yet, in true royal fashion, Camilla kept her head high, even as her heart ached. But would it be enough to hold her ground in the shifting sands of royal influence? Historical parallels and lessons. What's unfolding in the House of Windsor today is not entirely unprecedented. The British monarchy has long been defined by its dramas, divisions, and dynasties at odds. In many ways, the current conflict between Prince William and Queen Camilla echoes controversies of generations past, when emotion clashed with expectation and tradition met resistance. Historians are quick to point out that royal rifts have often foreshadowed great transformations within the monarchy. From the abdication crisis of King Edward VIII to the emotional upheaval surrounding Princess Diana, the royal family has always walked a fine line between duty and personal desire. The current discord draws haunting parallels to those moments, reminding us that the institution, while ancient and revered, is still vulnerable to human frailty. Yet these patterns aren't just cyclical, they are instructive. Each scandal, each turning point, has pushed the monarchy to reevaluate its identity and modernize its methods. The growing divide between Camilla and the younger. Royals could, in hindsight, become a pivotal chapter in the evolution of the crown. Lessons from the past suggest that unity, however fractured, must eventually prevail for the monarchy to endure. As the public watches this new rift unfold, they do so with the wisdom of history and the hope that today's trials might pave the way for tomorrow's change. In this royal drama, echoes of the past whisper constantly in the background, reminding all involved of the stakes and the cost of letting wounds fester in silence. The role of tradition and modernity. In many ways, the current conflict is less about personalities and more about principles. Specifically, the battle between tradition and modernity. Prince William and Princess Kate have increasingly come to embody a new vision for the monarchy, one that embraces openness, emotional intelligence, and relevance in a rapidly changing world. In contrast, Camilla's presence represents a more traditional, reserved, and ceremonial style of royalty, one shaped by generations of formality. The tension between these two approaches has never been more visible. As public expectations evolve, so too must the institution that has, for centuries, drawn strength from rigid structure. William's assertiveness and Kate's relatability signal a changing of the guard, an attempt to recast the monarchy as a body that serves rather than rules, that listens rather than lectures. Camilla's journey, steeped in a past where discretion was everything, clashes subtly with the transparency now demanded of modern royals. And while she has made admirable strides in adapting, the current moment underscores the growing gap between old and new. The royal family can no longer afford to stand still. It must walk the delicate tightrope between legacy and progress, anchored in history, but unafraid of change. As these two visions collide, it is not just Camilla who feels the pressure, but the very framework of the monarchy itself. The question is no longer whether change is coming, but whether those at its heart are ready to embrace it. Public reactions and social media discourse. In the digital age, no royal incident stays private for long. Within hours of the coronation snub and William's actions, the internet was ablaze with commentary. Social media became the unofficial courtroom of public opinion, where hashtags became headlines and opinions turned viral. Platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram saw a tidal wave of reactions, ranging from outrage to applause, from biting memes to heartfelt tributes. Team Kate and #NotMyQueen trended globally, drawing clear battle lines in the public consciousness. For many, Kate's subtle resistance was viewed as a bold nod to Princess Diana's legacy, a protective gesture echoing decades of royal pain. Others defended Camilla, pointing out her years of quiet service and resilience in the face of relentless criticism. But beyond the individual sentiments, the broader discourse highlighted something deeper, a shift in how people relate to the monarchy itself. In previous eras, royal affairs were whispered about in tabloids or behind closed doors. Now, they are dissected in real time by millions, each person a commentator in a drama unfolding across screens. The palace, once able to control its narrative, now finds itself at the mercy of online momentum. And as the likes, shares, and threads continue to pour in, one thing becomes clear. The crown may still carry weight, but in the court of public opinion, authenticity and relatability reign supreme. Implications for the monarchy's future. This latest rupture has opened a much larger conversation, one that strikes at the heart of the monarchy's future. Prince William's increasingly visible leadership, coupled with his willingness to take controversial stands, signals a monarchy preparing for transition. His vision appears less focused on ceremonial pageantry and more attuned to emotional transparency and social impact. Yet, with that change comes risk. Camilla's diminished presence could alienate older, more traditional supporters of the crown, while William's boldness may be viewed by others as too radical. The institution walks a precarious line between stability and reform, and every misstep has the potential to shake public trust. Succession planning, long treated as a quiet inevitability, is now under the spotlight. If these tensions continue, how will the monarchy ensure a smooth handover from King Charles to William? And more importantly, will the public still care enough to support that transition? The answers aren't yet clear. But one thing is certain: the monarchy is standing at a precipice. The choices made in these emotionally charged moments will shape not only headlines, but history. Personal struggles behind public roles. For all its grandeur, the monarchy is, at its core, a family. And like any family, it carries its share of emotional burdens, misunderstandings, and silent battles. Beneath the glittering crowns and public waves are people. People with pasts, pressures, and private pain. In moments like this, that truth becomes impossible to ignore. Prince William's decision, while strategic on the surface, is deeply personal. It is the act of a son still reckoning with the memory of a mother who endured so much, and a father's choices that changed the course of his family. For Camilla, it is the quiet heartbreak of knowing that, despite her efforts, she may never be embraced by those she wished to call her own. And for Kate, it is the challenge of standing by her husband while balancing tradition, expectation, and empathy. Each royal figure plays their part, but the emotional weight of those roles cannot be underestimated. As the royal family moves forward, they must do so not only as representatives of a nation, but as human beings navigating the messy intersection of duty and desire, grief and growth. It's a reminder that even behind palace gates, hearts can break, and healing takes more than protocol. A call for reflection and change. This moment, fraught, emotional, and undeniably public, offers the royal family something rare: an opportunity. An opportunity not just to course-correct, but to reflect deeply on the legacy they carry, the roles they inhabit, and the institution they strive to preserve in a rapidly evolving world. In a time when reverence for old institutions is being challenged by a new generation that values authenticity, vulnerability, and accountability, the future of the British monarchy will not hinge on its ceremonies or its centuries-old lineage, but on its willingness to evolve. For too long, the monarchy has worn its tradition like armor, priding itself on stoicism, silence, and ritual. These qualities once defined its strength, but today, they risk becoming its greatest weakness. The old model is showing cracks. Royal titles and rigid hierarchies no longer hold the power they once did. People now look to their leaders, royal or not, to be emotionally intelligent, open, and reflective of the values they claim to uphold. This moment calls for the royal family to ask a critical question. What kind of monarchy do they want to be? Camilla's visible pain, William's bold stance, Kate's quiet defiance. These are not just isolated incidents. They are signals. Signals that the emotional rifts within the House of Windsor mirror a deeper existential crossroads. For the monarchy to remain relevant, it must stop hiding behind palace walls and start engaging with the reality of human experience. This means acknowledging past wounds, listening more than speaking, and recognizing that strength today lies not in perfection, but in vulnerability and growth. The British people, and indeed the world, are watching more closely than ever before. They are not only looking for pageantry and poise, they are looking for truth, for reconciliation, for connection. In an age where even the highest towers are expected to be transparent, the monarchy can no longer afford to pretend that emotion is weakness or that tradition alone is enough. This could be a turning point, a chance to rebuild public trust, not through control, but through compassion. Not through silence, but through dialogue. Not through legacy, but through lived truth. The question that lingers now is not only whether the monarchy can survive, but whether it can transform. Will this be the moment it listens, learns, and leads with empathy? Or will it cling to the past, and in doing so, watch its influence quietly fade? Only time will tell. But if the crown is to carry real weight in the modern world, its foundation must no longer be just ceremony and bloodline, but courage, honesty, and a willingness to change. The path forward is clear. Whether or not they walk it together remains to be seen.